This video was made possible thanks to my amazing patrons at patreon.com/magicalhacker. If you're not a patron and you would like me to make a video for you each month using your decks, become a patron today. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavony Township, the show where it's not about me and my decks, it is about you and your decks, whether you're a content creator that I'm collaborating with, whether you're someone that's won one of my Facebook or Twitter giveaways, or whether you're a patron of mine at patreon.com/magicalhacker. For today's episode, we're looking at one of the decks submitted to me by Jack, one of my patrons on Patreon. And this deck looks a little funky because it's only got 5 cards where there should be 99, and there's a commander. So it's certainly not a fully fledged deck, but that's fine. It's part of the secret menu items on my Patreon. So just to kind of do a little bit of an aside here, if you are a part of the $8 tier reward, what you can do is you can submit a deck for me to do Deck Doctor on each month. So you can submit 100 cards, and you say, you know what, this 100 cards, I just don't know how to fix it. Just let me know where I'm going wrong, and I don't know what's going on here. I just need some help. So that's one way you can use it. You can also do what Jack's doing here, which is like, hey, I don't know what I really want to add. Just show me what you would add, So go ahead and just build a deck. I'll give you a couple of cards that I really want to have, but other than that, it's yours to fill out however you'd like. Some people like to do that. Sometimes people give me 200 cards and say, I got this deck, I just do not know what to cut. I need your help. And so you can kind of do a couple of these, what I like to call secret menu items on my Patreon. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. We've got a deck here submitted by Jack. It's using Risk the Redeemed as the commander, but don't let that fool you. That's not the main game plan. This is kind of like a secret partner here because we're using Aluren. So Aluren is a 4 mana enchantment that says any player may cast creature spells with converted mana cost 3 or less without paying their mana costs and as though they had flash. So Aluren allows you to, for free, flash out all your cheap creatures, and that's really what this deck's all about. We're trying to get a bunch of cheap creatures, flash them out. Now, that's why we're playing Guiltleaf Archdruid. If we're playing a lot of druids, we can then use those to draw cards and then eventually just gain control of all lands from somebody else. That's pretty nice. We've got Recycle. When we're casting those cards for free, we're drawing cards on top of that. So that's also pretty sweet here. Aetherflux Reservoir, the more we cast, the more life we gain. Eventually, we can just kill our opponents all at one go. So it's really going to be like an Aluren Storm combo. We're playing white because white typically has the best ways to find enchantments. Obviously, you could go black as well, but Jack said, I'm really interested in going for a green-white version of this deck using Risk the Redeemed. Now, when I was looking at this deck, I like the cards that are included here, and when it comes to decks like this that are just missing cards, I try not to drop any of the cards that are in the list. But I was looking at Risk the Redeemed, and I was kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's probably not the best fit as a commander. I'm not entirely sure what would be a really good fit, but there is one card that I think could be a better commander for a deck like this, and that is going to be Safi, Eric's Daughter. So Safi, Eric's Daughter. So this is a card that I think would be great. It's a commander, it's the same colors, but for 2 mana, which, I mean, technically it could be free if you've got the Aluren out there. But for 2 mana, this commander allows you to sacrifice itself to bring a creature back to the battlefield if it were to die this turn. So that's something that I think is pretty good, where you can have a creature sometimes dying, but let's say something that's super important. Let's say you've got your Guiltleaf Archdruid. You've got your commander in the command zone. You've got the Aluren out there. Somebody says, I see where this is going. I'm going to get rid of this Guiltleaf Archdruid. I'm going to go ahead and use my murder and destroy the Guiltleaf Archdruid. And you go, well, hold on. In response, I'm going to flash out my commander for free, put it onto the battlefield, target my Guiltleaf Archdruid. Now when it dies, it'll come right back. So that's one thing I think would be really nice to use Safi, Eric's Daughter for instead. But we'll just keep building the deck like this. I don't think, regardless if you're playing Safi or if you're playing Risk the Redeemed, you probably do want to build all around the Aluren, so you're probably not going to change much based on the commander itself. So if you want to change that to Safi, Eric's Daughter, I mean, that's probably what I would do over Risk the Redeemed, because I don't see Risk the Redeemed being too helpful for a deck like this. We're not trying to get it out there and, start making tokens and copies of tokens. That's not what this deck's about. We're trying to actually just combo off with Aluren. So Risk the Redeemed, probably not as great, I think, as Safi, Eric's Daughter, but we're just going to keep building it here with Risk the Redeemed just for right now. So that's the idea. So I previously had tried to record this video, but my computer crashed. So I already know there aren't any Selesnya Druids that are 3 mana or less, or any Druids at all in Selesnya colors, which I was pretty surprised about. But regardless, we're going to just say that Safi, Eric's Daughter is probably the best option. I'm sure maybe you might have an argument for which one you think is better, but personally, I think this is the best one. Let me know if I missed one, but I think this is probably the best commander for a deck like this. All right, so we know we need to have Aluren, so we want to add in 2 more tutors. So, or at least a couple more tutors. When I did my search last time, I did only find 2. What I used previously was I used on my tapped out page, I used my tutors list. And the only 2 cards that I were able to find that would actually be pretty nice would be Idyllic Tutor, and the other one would be the Sterling Grove. So these 2 only cost 3 mana to grab the enchantment that you want. Now, Sterling Grove does put it on top of the library, just like the Enlightened Tutor, whereas the Idyllic Tutor puts it directly into your hand. So that is a little bit of a downside, but the benefit here is if we're using the Sterling Grove, we can actually sometimes want a tutor for that. So let's say we've already got our Aluren, and we draw into an Enlightened Tutor for our turn. Well, you know what? Let's go and grab the Sterling Grove, because at least with this one, we can actually use this one to protect our Aluren, prevent it from being targeted, because it's going to give all of our enchantments Shroud, and I think that's fantastic. So these are the tutors that I found so far. I'm pretty sure I haven't missed any, but if I did, please let me know. Again, with the commander, I'm pretty sure I didn't miss any. That's one of the downsides about like starting to record and then recording it again. I don't want to go through that whole, the whole finding process again, because I already know what I would change, like what I would add here. So I know I'm going to add those tutors. I know Safi Eric's daughter is a better commander, but we're going to go with Risk for right now. And that's pretty much it. That's where I stopped last time. And so I was right at the beginning of finding recursion. And the reason I talked about this in the video that you're not going to be able to see, but I talked about why recursion is so important, because if the Aluren does get blown up, right? Let's say you don't have that Sterling Grove out there and someone uses a Naturalize and blows up your Aluren. You don't want to be playing with the rest of your deck just being pretty much just dead cards the whole way through. You want to make sure that you actually have ways to get the Aluren back. And so that's why I feel like, you know what? It's probably just a good idea just to play lots of recursion in a deck like this. Now, we're not trying to recur a bunch of things. You're not going to see me saying, oh, we need to play in here Seasons Past, and we want to play Creeping Renaissance, because we're not really trying to recur a bunch of cards at once. Usually that's what I tend to go for. Let's recur a bunch of things all at once, so that if something happens again, more removal happens. We've got so many cards in our hand that we can just keep putting out all that gas. But with Aluren, that's really the reason we're trying to go for the recursion, is for 1 card. So we really don't need to get a bunch of cards all at once. We can just go for 1 card at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to my recursion list, which is right here. And the art here shows Eternal Witness, and that does give me an idea. Do I want to go for Eternal Witness? Because that would be nice. I just feel like in green and white, we're going to have so much recursion for enchantments that we probably don't want to be paying like 3 mana or more to get back enchantments. But if we're getting creatures, that actually might be more important, because that way, if we have the Aluren, hey, we draw into a creature, that's good for Aluren. We can keep using that. If we don't have the Aluren on the battlefield, then it doubles up as recursion. So I kind of like having things that are like that, multiple categories. So I'm going to start off here by separating it by, let's separate it by type first. Do I want to do it that way? Actually, I probably don't. Let's just do this instead. I'm going to look for things that say any card, or we're going to look for things that say permanent, or things that say enchantment. So I'm using some of these to find which categories are going to be important for us. And we see here that there's a lot of black cards in this deck, or in this list. I just want to skip over the black cards. We just want to look for things that are in green or white. So any card to hand. I'm going to look also here. Let's look first for the creatures. I want to see what creatures we've got available to us. That's not going to be free with Aluren. Eternal Witness will be. This is black, so that's not going to count. This is also black. That's not going to count. Skullwinder definitely counts. That one's definitely more than 3 mana. That's more than 3 mana. This is also not in our colors. We've got here more non-creatures. We've got here, this one works as well. So currently we've got 3 so far. Eternal Witness, the Snake, which was the Snake card, Skullwinder, and the Restoration Specialist. That's pretty good so far. 3 choices. So next up we've got here, this is a sorcery, probably not going to be interested in that one. Again, I'm looking more so for the creatures. That way we can double up on having Aluren choices and on having ways to recur Aluren if it gets destroyed. Monk Idealist, I also like this one. This one seems pretty nice as well. Same thing with the Auramancer, I like that one also. Tragic Poet is a little slow, to be honest. Because if we top deck this one, unlike all the other creatures we found so far, this one, we have to wait a turn cycle before we can tap and sacrifice it. And if someone blew up our, if somebody went ahead and destroyed our enchantment, they're probably going to be pretty easy to destroy a creature. That's not that hard. So currently, there's only 5 cards that I'm seeing that I want to include here. But we'll just keep going through the list just in case there's something else. So going here towards the top here, and then down towards the bottom. Amira Shepherd is going to be too expensive. This is only for cycling. Muldrotha is too expensive. Then we've got Luris is black. Renegade Rallier. Now this one, I can only get things that are converted mana cost 2 or less, so that's not going to be enough here. And then those are too expensive. We've got that one being black. This one only gets back snow permanents, and that's pretty much it. So we've got 5 creatures. I don't think 5 is enough, but it is a good start. So let's go ahead and add those 5 creatures in there. So the first one that we found here was Eternal Witness. After this one is going to be the Skullwinder. So let's just go ahead and add a few of those recursion slots. And I'm going to go ahead and make a new category for that one. I'm going to go ahead and put the Recycle here with the Guiltleaf Archdruid, because those are going to be pretty similar here. I think I've got an Eternal Witness. I guess it doesn't really matter, though. But we're going to go ahead and add that one that we've got in there anyways. So we've got that one. Skullwinder. Now, this one's a pretty interesting one because some people would say that it's worse than the Eternal Witness because you have to give one of your opponents back a card. But I've just found that a lot of times I'm happy to give back an opponent one of their cards because the card they're going to choose to get back, you know, based on what they would like to have, is also going to be helpful for me. So it's kind of, in a lot of ways, I find Skullwinder to be more helpful than the Eternal Witness. And that's not even touching the Death Touch part, no pun intended. I love Death Touch. It's a great way to prevent people from attacking you. You got the Skullwinder on the battlefield, you just leave it up as a block, and people are like, yeah, I could attack them, but then I would just trade with their, you know, their Skullwinder, their 1/3 Death Touch. I don't want to do that. So I feel like a lot of times it does actually kind of send people at a different direction. All right, so that's Skullwinder here with the Eternal Witness. Next we had the Restoration Specialist. Now this one's a little interesting because it is going to be something that we're going to have to pay double white mana for, and so far we're looking to be mostly green. But the fact that we can get back a creature and, I'm sorry, an artifact and an enchantment, who knows? Maybe we want to get back the Aetherflux Reservoir. That's also kind of cool. We can do that with this card. Next one, I'm kind of forgetting what we actually found here. I know it was 5 total. Some of the other ones that we found here, I think we're over in this category. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Where was it? It was kind of, I remember it being in the middle section, though. Where was it? That's one of the downsides here. I'm trying not to open things up. Oh, yeah. Auramancer and Monk Idealist. Those are the other two. Auramancer and Monk Idealist. Yeah, I'm not usually playing these cards in my decks, personally, but does seem pretty good here. And the reason I'm not looking for Artifact Recursion is because I'm pretty sure Green and White has other ways to win with an Infinite Storm. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to try it first to see if I can find some other things that will work. We don't actually have any Auramancers, so I'm just going to grab one of these and just put it in there and call it a day. And then the other one here was Monk Idealist. Monk Idealist, and we'll add that one to the deck as well. And then after that, we're going to take a look to see if we can find a little bit more recursion. Having 5 is nice. I'd like to have maybe 3, 4, 5 more. So let's just take a look. I think we're going to start off with just like the best of the best. 1 mana spells that return an enchantment to our hand. That I think is going to be a good place to start. So let's do that here. We're going to start off with, you know what, let's do it this way. We're going to start off with the green 1-drops. Still having these same categories pulled up here. This will put us on top of our library, so not super great there. This is going to cost more than 1 mana. That costs 0, but also puts only on top of our library. Same thing with the Reclaim. Same thing with Salvage. Wildest Dreams is going to cost 3 mana to have an X equals to 1. Next category that we've got something in is going to be, let's keep going down. Let's see if there's anything down here. Nope, nothing there. Next one we've got here, Rofellis' Gift. So we're going to have plenty of green creatures, green cards really in this deck. So I think Rofellis' Gift is also going to be the first one that we'd like to add in there. Rofellis' Gift. I'll go ahead and pull this one up while we're looking for the next one. It's interesting too. I don't see this card that often, but I keep looking at it and be like, man, that looks so good though. If you're playing a green deck and you've got a lot of enchantments in your graveyard that you might want to bring back, I mean, Rofellis' Gift seems really good. I've got a Enchantress deck myself, and I just keep deciding, like, do I want to add it in, do I not? And I just keep kind of going back and forth, and I can't really decide. Looks like there's not that many 1-drops. Yeah, there's not that many 1-drops in green. Let's take a look to see if white has any. Let's take a look at what white's got. We've got here nothing so far. We've got the Argivian Find. Now, this one is fantastic. Also can get back artifacts, so I do like that one as well. Let's go ahead and add this one into the list. Let's add in the Argivian Find. Let's add that one also. And then after that, we're going to add in maybe a couple more. I mean, right now we're up to 7. So right, 7. Yeah, 7. So I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. But let's see what else we've got here. That one's going to be enchantments, but that's not a 1-drop. Let's keep going up here. We've got that Tragic Poet again. You know what? Maybe we do actually add it in there because it is a creature. And if we need to bring back the, the Aluren, sure, we're going to have to wait a whole turn cycle, but, I mean, it is a 1-drop. That can't be too bad, right? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I still think I'm right to say that we're not going to add that one in. Having to wait a whole turn cycle definitely seems a little bit too risky if we definitely need that recursion. I'd rather have recursion that's a little bit more reliable. So we've only got 7 cards. Let's go up to the 2-drops. Let me see if there's anything here colorless that's interesting. Colorless 1-drops. Just the... Why does Goblin Welder come up with that? Did I press the red by mistake? Might have pressed red by mistake. Yeah, red by mistake. Here, the colorless one. Where is the colorless? Green? I don't know where it is. Blue? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we can just go on to, I think, the next section, which is going to be... There's actually here one colorless one here at the very bottom. Let's see what that one is. Maybe I should do this... that's not the one. Maybe I should do this by, like, CMC. And I think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I am going to actually do that here. Let's take a look here by converted cost. And that's currently what we've got everything sorted by. So I'll change this one to color, because that makes it a little bit easier also. Just to see where everything's at. Not have to look through literally every card. It makes it a lot easier for me, I think. Hopefully there's not too many 2-drops. We've got... Where are the 2-drops? 2-drops are... There's 55 of them. Yeah, so that's quite a lot. Let's go ahead and sort this by color, because I want to just go to the white, to the green, and then maybe the gold as well. Let's go ahead and change this by color. I really like having these options. Oh, I can't do it by color, huh? Oh, well, that's fine. I guess we'll just press black and keep going down. I like having all these options on tapped out. It's really cool to be able to go through those. Oops. Did not mean to press necromancy. Let's just go back here really quick. Yeah, so I'm going to go here and press black again. So I like having all these options. It's a great way to really take a look at lists and understand what's going on in them in a deeper way. And I think that is always pretty fun. All right, let's go ahead and go down here to the 2-drops. Yeah, so we're going to go Dance of the Man. So that's going to be blue, so that's not going to be good for us. This is a red card here. Yep. That's red. That's blue. That's red. This is green. So this one allows us to return a creature or a land card, so that's not going to be helpful for us. We've got blue. We've got white. Gives only artifacts. This only gets back lands. Mine Excavation, I do like this one. We can also Conspire it, because we're going to have a lot of creatures, so this is pretty good in my opinion. I think Mine Excavation is going to be a good one to add. Alright, Argivian Fight we've already added in. Mine Excavation. So we'll let that load while we're looking up the next one here. Mission Briefing, that's blue. This one only gets back artifacts. Nature Spiral gets back permanents. I like that one a lot too. So let's go ahead and add in the Mine Excavation. Let's add in the... What was this one called? Nature's Spiral. Nature's Spiral. I like it. I think this is actually a pretty good card, because we can get back lots of different things. Very open-ended, just like the Mine Excavation. So I like that one a lot. We'll go ahead and add that one in as well. Next one here, we've got Nostalgic Dreams. That requires us to discard cards. I'm not a huge fan of that, to be honest. Only gets back creatures. Reap gets back any cards at all, but we have to have an opponent that's playing black. And so, I mean, if somebody's playing black, they're not going to be able to deal with enchantments. So there's probably going to be a lot of situations where nobody's playing black and our enchantment has been destroyed, where Reap wouldn't actually be that great. I know it's going to be a pretty good card in most situations, but in this situation, we're not trying to get back a ton of things, which is where Reap really shines. You can get back a ton of things because people have a lot of black permanents. Right now, we're really just more interested in just getting back one thing at a time, and sometimes that's not going to be able to do that. So compared to other options, this is not as great for this deck. This gets back only multicolored things. This is red. This one gets back just any card at all. So Regrowth is another great option here. I think having so far having 10 options seems pretty nice to me. Much better than 7, I would say. We want to have a few options like this, so I feel like I'm pretty happy where we're at now. But let's see what else we've got, because we might be able to find something where something else would be actually worth dropping here. This gets only back lands. You've already got that one in there. This gets back only creatures. This only gets back green cards. You know, Revive, it is good, but compared to our other 2-drops, they're a lot better because they can also get back the Aetherflux Reservoir or other cards that we might need. So I think Restore might not actually be one we'll want to add in here. So, or rather, Revive, rather. Sorry about that. Road of Return. This one does put a permanent card from our graveyard to our hand, and also has some Entwine ability where we can put our commander into our hand. I don't know how helpful that is when we've got Riss the Redeemed as our commander. But Road of Return does sound pretty good here. It is double green, but I feel like that's not too hard to do in a 2-color deck. Not hard at all. It does Yeah, I mean, it is getting back a lot more things than mine excavation would be getting, but we can actually get more than just one card with this if we wanted to. Maybe we're not going to be wanting to do that too often, though. Let's just add the Road of Return. I mean, having 11 cards that bring back things is also not bad. It's just interesting that the majority of these are 4-drops in terms of the non-creature version. So, I mean, what can you do? You really don't have any other options here. Roots of Wisdom only gets back elves or lands. This is blue. This is white that gets back an aura or equipment, so that's not going to be helpful here either. And then we can bring back humans or non-humans, so that's only for creatures. This one can bring back creature or land cards, so that's not helpful either. And then this is a red card. So that's it for our 2-drop section. So yeah, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at right now. We've got a lot of things in here, although I feel like we do have these 2-drop options, and they're not bad. But we're probably going to be adding in some lands that will do recursion, so maybe I'm not that worried about having only 1-drops here. So if we drop those 4, and then we think about us adding in there, let me see. I think there's the Balaged Recovery. Balaged Recovery, I think, is a good land we're probably going to have in this deck. 3 mana, we can bring back Aluren or Aetherflux Reservoir. Anything that's a permanent, we can bring it back. So I like that one as a land. And then we can also be playing the Hall of Heliod's Generosity. So this is another way we can use 3 mana to get an enchantment back to recur it out of the graveyard. It does put it on top of the deck, but hey, for 2 lands in the deck, that's not bad. So in reality, we've got 9 cards here that are recursion. I think that's more than enough. I don't think we need to go for any of those 2-drop options. So having 1 mana waste to bring back the Aluren, I think, is a lot easier for us to get that combo back online and continue to go as we were before. All right, so we've got the tutors for Aluren, we've got the recursion for Aluren. Now we've got to have the combo pieces for Aluren. So obviously we want to have creatures, but you also want to have more cards like Recycle or like Guiltleaf Archdruid. And I think that's going to be pretty easy for us to do. I'm just going to head over to my deck building consistency list. This list is very much based off of the list that I have here on Tapped Out. So if you're wondering, well, how come I can't see that one? It's just this. It's just this in a way that's organized to make it more helpful for me. I do want to eventually release this to my patrons, but I'm still working on a few things. Like, for example, here on the board wipe page, I haven't actually finished this page at all. So I'm still working on this one. It's not loaded there. There it goes. So I'm still working on this page right now. So that's why I haven't released it yet, but it'll be here soon, I promise. But we're going to go ahead and jump to the draw page. And so on this page, we can find a lot of really cool things. And I think we're going to be able to find some ways that we can draw cards off of our non-token creatures entering. I know there are a lot of cards like that. And so let's go ahead and add a few of those in here. So let's go ahead and go to filters. I've only recently been using filters on spreadsheets here with Google Sheets. I don't know why I didn't do it in the past. It's so helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and look here through this column, which is going to show the color identity. We're going to go ahead and clear this off and go to just the colorless, the green, the Selesnya, where's Selesnya? Let's keep going down. Selesnya, and then the white cards. So those are the only cards we're interested in here. Let's go ahead and pull those up. And we're not doing for life gain or invasive creatures. One of the nice things here is I can then sort this one here, A to Z, so I can look at cards based on what they're actually doing here. So I can skip over a big section if they're all doing the same thing. So that's what I'm planning on doing here. I'm going to go ahead and sort that A to Z, and we can go ahead and skip past most of these here. Artifact Destruction, Artifact Tapping, Auras, Big Token Creatures, probably not going to be doing that one here. Double Strike Enablers, Enchantress. We do have a lot of enchantments in this deck so far, but not going to be an Enchantress deck itself. A lot of creatures, not so many enchantments, I would say. Equipment, Auras, Aristocrats, Evasive Creatures, Double Strikers, Flash or Instant. So this one, Freylise's Charm. I'm going to look this one up here in a second. Let's just go ahead and do this. Copy the Freylise's Charm. Let's take a look at this one. I'm interested to see if this is actually going to pull up anything interesting for us. So Freylise's Charm. I think this is a 2-drop enchantment where we can pay 2 mana. Oh, it's not even on Magic Online, so I gotta look it up on Scryfall. Well, that's what I get for doing it this way. Freylise's Charm, while that's loading here, let's just keep going down. That was the Flash page, so let's keep going down here. We've got Legends, Landfall, Library Manipulation, Life Gain, Lures. We're not gonna have a bunch of big creatures. Now, we do have a bunch of non-token creatures, so I do like these. Beast Whisperer, Guardian Project, Lifecrafter's Bestiary. Actually, this Lifecrafter's Bestiary is probably not that great. Same thing with the Vizier of the Menagerie, but I like the other ones. Beast Whisperer, Guardian Project, and the Great Henge. Those all seem really good to me because we can use them as basically other versions of Recycle here. So I'm going to add those ones in. While I look here at the Freylise's Charm, Yeah, it's not that great. I mean, 2 mana I mean, if we're... It's basically we're trying to hold up our mana on other people's turns, then we're going to be able to use this to draw cards. But really, that's not that great here, I think. So, at least not for this deck. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and pull up the Beast Whisperer. Beast Whisperer. It's funny also that these cards here that I'm actually looking at, they're all pretty new. So, these are all, like, I would say, like, from the past 5 years or so. Very, very recent in Magic history. So we're going to go ahead and put a new category. Actually, we've already got a category here. Beast Whisperer. We've got the Great Henge. And then the last one was, what was it? Guardian Project. That's what it is. That's a great enchantment for Commander because it's pretty easy just to get all your creatures to trigger it. Unlike other formats where it's not going to be as easy. Guardian Project. Yeah, so this is pretty good. We've only got 5 cards in this category, so I definitely wanted to add a few more. I don't know how many we've actually got. We're probably going to have to dip into some more 6-drops to add to Recycle. But this only gives us currently like 4 sources of card draw that we could consider part of the card draw in the deck. I don't typically like to include 6-drops or more in my card draw because then you're just going to find yourself in a situation where I don't have the mana to cast the card draw that I need in order to get more mana from my deck. So it's just kind of weird in those situations. All right, let's keep going down here. Proliferate, sacrificable things. We're not sacrificing anything here in this deck. Myth Unbound, that's about creatures entering. Bygone Bishop, I think this, that investigates, right? Yeah, and same thing with the Mentor of Me kind of works the same way that we had the other card that we saw up here. Which one is this one? This one is the Lifecrafter's Bestiary, aka the Pokedex. So we're gonna have to pay 1 mana to draw cards per creature that have, that are entering the battlefield. So I'm gonna try to skip those for now, and maybe we come back to them, but I think we are gonna be okay. Since we're here, we might as well grab some of these other things that are actually gonna work just well for any deck in general. So Compost seems pretty good. Mangara also seems pretty good. I don't think we're gonna need the Mind's Eye here, so I'm not gonna include that one. Let's just do those 2 for now. Well, actually, let's just keep looking, see if we can find some more ways to draw cards off of our, casting all these creatures. So we've got Vanquisher's Banner. We actually are doing, check this out. So Vanquisher's Banner is actually going to work because we are doing a lot of Druids in this deck, or at least that's the plan. Vanquisher's Banner. So I think this was actually going to work. We can use this one to maybe find some more cards to get. Yeah, I like this one a lot here. Vanquisher's Banner. Next thing here, we're not sacrificing anything. We've already got the Guiltleaf Archdruid in this deck, and that's pretty much it. So let's go over to Scryfall. Let's look at things that are in our color identity and legal in our format. ID here stands for color identity, and then F stands for format. We're going to be looking, let's see here. We want to find things that say whenever, and then it's going to be either like cast, let's just do cast creature for now, and then we'll do, actually let's do cast druid as well. Cast creature, cast druid. I guess we could also do non, because it could be like cast a non-human or something. Let's see. And then also we're going to do the same thing here. Druid, non, or creature entering. So we'll put that right there, and then we'll say enter, and then end the parentheses, and then we're going to put another thing here because we actually want to find things that are either drawing us cards or like letting us look at the top cards of our library and put one of them into our hand. So let's try that one. Draw and library. Okay, so we've got 31 cards here. We've already got a couple of these here. Zendikar Resurgent, I like that one a lot. It also doubles up our mana, so that is pretty sweet as well. Zendikar's Resurgent. It's nice because, it gives you mana and gives you card draw, so I think that's all really good stuff. Elemental Bond. This one seems pretty interesting. I mean, we're not really sure what type of druids we're going to be getting out there, so I'm going to add this one to the deck and then, drop it if it's not that great later on. So Zendikar Resurgent will add in there, and oops, I put in there Zendikar's Resurgent. So we're looking here just for Zendikar Resurgent, and then after this we'll add in the Elemental Bond. We have already got here this one, and this one. We've already talked about why we're not adding this one and this one, and then we've already got the Great Henge in there as well. Elemental Bond, though, I do think that one's going to be pretty good, and we'll get some more cards here in a second. We'll add this one into the list, and then Elemental Bond. I'm going to put that in the command zone just to remind myself that we are going to take a look later on to see if it actually fits. And we're going to do the same thing here with the Garruk's Uprising. This one triggers with power 4 or greater. Like I said, I don't think these are going to be that helpful for us, but you know what? Let's just go ahead and try it out and see if we can actually be okay with that one. So that's Garruk's Uprising. Garruk's Uprising. Next up, we've got Soul of the Harvest. I do like that one. Savala is not that great. Same thing with the Karamitro. Although we can grab lands off of our creatures entering the battlefield, we're more interested in drawing cards here, I would say. Garrick's Pack Leader is going to kind of fall in the same category as Garrick's Uprising. Maybe good, maybe not. Hazard's Monument, this is a weird one because it would allow us to loot. So if we happen to have like any lands in our hand, we can loot through those. So I kind of do like that, believe it or not. It doesn't give us any more cards than we would have otherwise. But I do think that it'd be kind of cool to add that one in there. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. It's not going to count as card draw. It'll definitely count as part of this category where we're doing cool things. We discard cards we don't need. We draw cards that we do need. It also works with our... It also works, rather, with our recursion. So we can cast some of that recursion, get back something that we discarded that maybe we now do need. So I like that that one as well. So we'll add in the Garrick's Pack Leader and the Hazard's Monument. So Garrick Pack Leader, that one's going to go in the same category here as the Command Zone, just to remind myself to check that one. Pack Leader. So Garrick Pack Leader, it's Garrick's Pack Leader. Let me go ahead and fix that one really quickly, because I don't think it's going to come up. Oh, it does. Okay, sweet. So we'll add this one to this same area, and then we're going to look up Hazard's Monument. And then while that one's loading up, let's keep going. Primordial Sage I like. Same thing with the Soul of the Harvest. I haven't actually searched those up yet, so I'll do that one here next. We'll add this one. We're going to add this one directly into that category. Next up, we've got Soul of the Harvest. And then the other one was Primordial Sage. Yep, there it is. Primordial Sage. So I'll definitely do that one as well. Primordial Sage and Soul of the Harvest are not cards that I would always recommend because, 6 mana. You don't want to be, investing too much into your card draw section with 6 drops if you can. If you want to add it like on top of your card draw, I mean, that's great. But the idea is you've got so much card draw in the deck, you wouldn't really need that card draw besides that. Obviously, this is different because it's a combo deck. But we're going to go ahead and add in that one. Same with the Primordial Sage, which, like I said, they're both pretty interesting, but I just don't think they're too often useful in Commander. So we've got 10 cards in that section so far. Let's keep going down here and see what else we can find. We've got Lurking Predators. That one's for opponents casting creatures. This one allows us to scry one when the creatures enter the battlefield, but I don't think that's going to be that helpful for us. Wild Pair. This one seems pretty neat. It can actually trigger some of our abilities to go and search for other creatures. So if we have things that care about creatures entering the battlefield, we can actually draw double off of that. Could be nice. Yeah, it could be nice. Let's take a look at Wild Pair. Let's add that one in here as well. I think I'm going to also add that one to the maybe pile because I'm not quite sure if that's something that I want to use. It definitely feels a little bit more doable than the other ones I've gotten there, to be honest. But let's just put that there for now. This is about anything being cast with the morph ability. It allows us to grab a basic. This is for opponents casting things. Glimpse of Nature is a 1-drop, but it's only for that one turn. But I still kind of like it. I think that's actually pretty good for a deck like this, because we're most likely going to be trying to just combo off in one turn anyways. So let's go ahead and add in Glimpse of Nature and just keep going down through this list. It did get banned, I think, in Modern too, because it was just way too good with elves. This one is kind of like that Scry one, but this is even better because it allows you to scry multiple cards. It does only allow you to keep one card on top. So if you have a 4-drop, 4-powered creature entering, you only get to look at one of those cards and put it on top. The other 3 have to go to the bottom. So that's, a little bit of difference there. This one only cares about creatures that enter with the same name. That one, that one, that one, and that one don't all count, but we already got this one in the deck. So that's pretty much it. We've got to just add in the Glimpse of Nature, and I think we've added everything else here. Yeah, Glimpse of Nature, we're adding that one in. Yeah, so we've got 11 cards here. I don't think these 3 are going to be doable. And you can't actually see them here because they're hiding. But I don't think these 3 are going to be doable. I think it's most likely just going to be the Wild Pair that we're going to add in. But for now, like I said, we're just going to keep that open in the other in the Command Zone, and we're just going to revisit it in a second here. Okay, so we've got the card draw. I feel pretty good about that one. I'd also like to double up the card draw if possible, because drawing one card is not guaranteeing you to find what you need. So let's take a look here. It says whenever draw or if would draw, because that I think would be pretty nice, because we might be able to actually do other things with that too. If would draw. Let's try finding some stuff like this. So Swelling Tide, Skull Clamp. Yeah, this is a lot of things with other opponents. Let's put this. Let's put a comma after this one, just to try to limit some of the things that we're getting here. Yeah, 21 cards. That's a lot better. So we've got the Alhammar's Archive. I do like that one. The Psychosis Crawler is kind of funny because we can actually use this as another copy of the Aetherflux Reservoir. If we're drawing 40 cards, we can just deal, or we can make every opponent lose 40 life. It is kind of awkward though because we're not guaranteed to have it when we start the combo. So we might be able to just go, let's say, draw 40 cards, then find it, then play it down. We got to draw 40 more cards in order to then win with it. I think that might be good. I just can't tell. Honestly, it's just too early for me to tell. I think we just got to add it into the deck, and then if it works in practice, then we keep it. If it doesn't work in practice, then we're not going to keep it. That's the only way I think we can actually play this one. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the Alhamret's. I always misspell this word. Alhamret's Archive. Hopefully I spelled that one right. Double M, double R. Yep, perfect. Okay. What is AA? Did I put AA? I did put AA. Okay, cool. We've got here Mind's Eye, Mask of Memory, Abundance. So this allows us to not draw any more lands. I think Abundance is actually really good for a deck like this. We're going to add the Alhamret's Archive in as well. Abundance seems really good in a deck like this. Alms Collector doesn't seem that great here. We can skip draws with this one. We're drawing second cards. Yeah, none of these are really that great here. This is when things start dying. This one is actually shutting down our card draw in a way. We can not do a whole lot here with the rest else. Although it is pretty interesting, if we can skip 3 card draw, we can then turn Pursuit of Knowledge into a way to draw 4 cards. But to be honest, it's not that great, to be honest. So I really don't think that we're going to actually add that one in. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be that. I think that's it. We got the Alhamret's Archive to double up our draw, but that's not much else besides that. There's the Abundance. We're going to go ahead and add that one in. I think we've got so many cards, I probably won't be even interested in the Wild Pair because it'll actually kind of non-bow with some of the cards we've added in. Everything else here will actually draw cards. And Wild Pair does not. And then these cards here, they're just too dependent on what creatures we've got entering the battlefield. So I'm going to drop those 3 as well. Just go back to having Risk the Redeemed here in the command zone. So we've emptied out the command zone. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We've got 13 cards that allow us to kind of do the combo thing. So that seems pretty good. There's no replacement for Aluren. I think a lot of us already know that. There's no way to do whatever Aluren's doing. It's pretty much a very unique effect that you can't really duplicate. Let's take a look to see what we can find with Storm here. I don't think there's a lot, but let's just take a look. What does green and white have that has the ability Storm? We can create a bunch of creatures. We can search for a bunch of basic lands. We can gain 3 life a bunch. We can give target creature +1/+2 a bunch of times. And that's pretty much it. I don't really see anything else here, yeah? Yeah, I don't see anything else here. So of these, I mean, maybe the Hunting Pack is nice. If we can find a way to give all of our creatures haste. But that's also 7 mana. Is that something we're gonna be able to do with a deck like this to generate 7 mana? We don't have black or red for ritual effects. Although I guess we do have ways to untap all of our lands. So that might actually be helpful. I'm gonna come back to this one in a second. But let's just open up a new tab for Scryfall. And I want to see what we've got here that can actually double up our lands. I know we've got Mirari's Wake. But I want to see what else we've got that can kind of do the same thing. So I want to see how this is worded just so I can word it the same way with other effects. Do we have any other ways to double up our mana? Because if we have ways to double up our mana, we can then use spells to untap all of our mana, and then I feel actually pretty good. So this is whenever you tap a land for mana. So let's put here, whenever, I gotta spell that one correctly, tap, land, and we'll put here mana, and we'll put comma. So that's one way we could say it. We can also say if would tap land for mana. So let's put that one as well. I'm going to replace here the whenever, put that in parentheses. Parentheses allows you to do like a Boolean operator where you're saying either this side of it or that side of it. So we're going to say if and then would. And then the period asterisk period means any character. And then asterisk means any number of the previous character. So any number of any characters. We're just saying sometime later has this word in the list. So I think that's it here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and make sure that we're looking only for things in our color identity, and then we're looking for things that are legal in our actual format. So let's see what else we can find here. We've already got the Zendikar Resurgent. I like the Mirari's Wake. I also like the Heartbeat of Spring. That one does seem nice. Dictate of Karamitra I think is good. We've got a lot of expensive cards, but I think if we can get to the point, if we're getting to the point where we can actually double up our mana, let me change this a little bit here. Let's do it by CMC. So I think the way I want to do that is I'll probably add in like all these 3 cards because they're 5 mana or less. I like that one. But these 2 creatures, the Regal Behemoth and the Vorinclex, I just think they're too expensive for us to like play it out ahead of time, unlike these cards. We play it ahead of time, it's just going to get destroyed most of the time, these creatures. And we can't do it on the same turn because it's too expensive. So let's just add in these 3 cards. I've got the Zendikar Resurgent. That one I can actually do ahead of time, but other than that, we've only got 3 here. So Heartbeat of Spring is the first one. Heartbeat of Spring. Next one is going to be Gift of Karamitra, or Dictate of Karamitra, rather. Dictate of Karamitra. So let's go and add in the Heartbeat of Spring. That's going to be a way to double up our mana. Next one is going to be Dictate of Karamitra. And then the last one here is going to be Mirari's Wake. So add this one in here as well, and then Mirari's Wake. So having some ways to double up our mana seems pretty nice, in my opinion. We're going to try to find some ways to get a bunch of lands onto the battlefield, because the more lands we have out there, the more we can double them. So let's take a look to see if we can find things that will say like search. So we're going to say here search, and then... you know what? Actually, this does remind me. We actually do want to add in the Karamitra. Let me do that one first. So we want to add in the Karamitra because that one, I mentioned it before that I didn't like it because it only gives us basic lands. But if we have the Karamitra, we can actually just get more lands off of casting all these creatures. We draw into one of these ways that can untap all of our lands. Karamitra is going to make sure we got a ton of them out there. So I like that one a lot. So yeah, let's go ahead and fix this one here. We're going to say things back in our color identity, in our format. So I want to look for things now that we're going to untap all of our lands. So untap all, and then we're going to say either lands, permanents. Let's try that. All lands, all permanents in our color identity. We got 11 cards so far. So this one only untaps our basic lands. So Early Harvest, I do like that one. This one only untaps non-lands. Sword of Feast of Famine requires us to attack with a creature. This is only at the beginning of an upkeep. I like Early Harvest so far. That's the first one I like. Sorry about that. So I like the Early Harvest. Let's go ahead and add that one in first. Early Harvest. The next one that I like here, Bear Umber requires us to attack with a creature. This one only taps forest put with it. This one also requires us to attack with a creature. This is the end step. This one allows us to gain control of lands, which is going to work with our ability to untap lands. That's kind of nice. Rude Awakening I think is good. Seedborn Muse I don't think is great. So we're going to go and add in the Rude Awakening, but that's pretty much it. So we've got the Early Harvest and the Rude Awakening, and there's not much else besides that. Okay, so that's definitely pretty surprising in my opinion. I was not expecting that. Rude Awakening, I guess this kind of makes sense though. Blue is typically the one that has more spells that can untap lands, so I guess that makes sense here. Rude Awakening and Early Harvest, those are both pretty good. I think they're going to be pretty helpful for us. There's no ways to gain an extra turn in green or white. Only blue and red have access to those types of abilities. I think that's it for this category. I was thinking, like, do I want to add in the Sword of Feast and Famine, Bear Umbra, Nature's Will? But really, even if I do add those in, it's not going to be that great because what's going to happen is we're going to draw into one, maybe attack with one creature, but then we draw into more of them, and it doesn't actually help us. So at most, we would be playing just one, but not really that helpful here, I think. All right, so let's go back to this list. We've got a couple of ways to double up our mana, untap all our lands. That's pretty much it for that category. So I was kind of considering now if we want to add in like board wipe, spot removal, stuff like that. But you know what? Now that I think about it, my Storm deck is not playing a ton of that type of those types of cards anyways, because we're trying to make sure that the combo works, and it requires the deck to be built a certain way. So I actually think the way we need to do this here is we got to make sure that we can combo off. And if we can't board wipe, we can't spot removal, I mean, so be it. You know what I mean? I think we're going to still add some spot removal for artifacts and enchantments because obviously people are going to try to slow us down, play some artifacts, play some enchantments that will slow down Storm. We got to find a way to get rid of those as much as possible. So, but other than that, I think we're going to be okay. So let's go ahead and take a look now. I guess let's take a look here at Druids. With the Guiltleaf Archdruid, we're trying to find some more things. I do like the way that this works. Do we have a lot of recursion for this? Ooh, check this out. I just realized something. So Eternal Witness and the Skullwinder, both of those can actually get back Rude Awakening and Early Harvest after we've actually used it. That is actually great. Yeah, I like that a lot. So that means that we can use some of our recursion to get those back. We don't really have anything else, right? Enchantments, only artifacts and enchantments. Yeah, we don't have a lot of else that can actually recur those from the graveyard. So we might actually be adding some of those recursion pieces again. Regrowth was one that I remember previously. So Regrowth. We had the one that owns artifacts and enchantments, so I'm not interested in that one. Let's go and add the Regrowth in. I think Reap is actually a good one now that we actually see that one, because that one can get back any card. So let's add in Reap as well. Sometimes it won't get anything because nobody's playing black, but there are some times where you can actually get both of these cards back. So I do like that one a lot. Oh boy, there's a lot of things here that says Reap. Okay, we're going to scroll down until we can find Reap. So what else was there? So there was the one that got artifacts and enchantments only. There was the one that only got permanents. There was one that got green cards only, but we didn't even add that one in. I think it was 2 cards that only got permanents. It was the Nature Spiral. Oh yeah, and then the other one, the what was that card called? The one that had the Entwine ability. So that was only permanents as well. Here it is, Reap. Let's go ahead and add Reap to the deck. And I think that's it, because those are the only ones that we actually saw that are 2-drops. Regrowth, the Road of Return, the Nature Spiral, and then the Mine Excavation. So I like this one a lot too, because now we can use these cards to get back those ways to untap all of our lands. Hey, look, it actually comes full circle. We can actually use those in a more helpful way. All right, so what else do we want to do here? So we've got some of the card draw. I think it's time now for us to go through those creatures. We've got 2 lands in the deck, so that means we've got 34 non-lands in this deck. We want to be including 36 lands, so we're going to add 34 to this. That's going to bring us up to 70. We've got room for 30 creatures, and you know what? I think we've got to go all those creatures, because we really can't afford to not combo off entirely, and I think that's going to be the problem. We're going to find ourselves in a situation where we can't keep going with the combo because we just don't have enough creatures. So let's just do it this way. I do like the recursion. This kind of doubles up. All this is doubling up, because even the Raphaelis' Gift, right? We've got an enchantment creature in the graveyard, then that's going to work for us as well. Do we actually want to be including enchantment creatures? Maybe just 1 or 2 so that we can include these as part of our account. I was taking a look at here at the Psychosis Crawler, and I don't think that's actually going to be that great. I know we've also got that Nanbo with the Abundance, but I'd hate to just go down to only 1 card for us to win with. And there's not much else we can do. I mean, technically we can give haste to all of our creatures, right? Maybe that's the game plan. We get a bunch of these creatures out there, and then after that, we can then go for a way to give them all haste and then hopefully attack everybody and kill them. We'll take a look to see what kind of creatures we actually find here with these abilities. All right, so we are looking for things that are going to be... We want to make sure they're going to be 3-drops. So let's go ahead and do this. Grab all of this here. We're going to grab creatures. We want to have their CMC be less than 4. And let's take a look first for things that are druids. I think this is going to be pretty important here. So what can we find that are druids? We've got 126. So that is certainly a lot. I don't even know how we would want to add them in. Are there any of them that say like draw or something? Let's just take a look here. Let's take a look to see what else can say draw or library. Let's see what we can find. So we've got 26 cards. That is still a lot here. All right, so the first one here allows us to get a basic land put onto battlefield tap. I kind of like this one. It doubles up as ramp if we need it. So I kind of like that. Seems pretty good. The Argothian Enchantress, this one seems really cool because we do have a couple of enchantments in here that we can draw cards off of that. So let's go ahead and use the Argothian Enchantress. I'm still kind of on the fence here with these two. You know, getting the basic lands. We can use them to untap all of our basic lands, have more mana that way, but I don't know. And you know what? If we have a lot of creatures that produce mana, we can actually find things... Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and go back to this one. So we had Storm here as one of our options here. We were talking about Hunting Pack. May still be important for us to use, but I just don't think so. I think we're going to be okay regardless. So yeah, well, I think what I want to do with this tab is I want to go ahead and I want to find here cards that are going to allow us to produce or to untap all of our lands. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Untap, and I've got this right here. Let's go and grab things that say either non-land. Let's go and see what we can find here that says like elf or elves. Maybe we can find that. Druid is going to be good. Creature. Let's see what we can find like this. Because I think this is going to be pretty helpful for us as well. We can maybe find some things that are going to allow us to untap a bunch of things. So yeah, Vitalize here allows us to untap all of our lands, or sorry, all of our creatures. If we can give them haste, not only can we attack with them, but we can also tap them for mana and do other things with that mana too. So I like the Vitalize. I think that's going to be pretty helpful. Let's close out this one just for right now. So Vitalize seems nice. This one is a one-time effect, but this is also free with the Aluren, so I like that one. Untap all of our lands with that. Untap all creatures. Yeah, we get to draw a card off of that. That seems pretty nice. This one is a untap step ability. That one's only for one creature. This is only for those creatures. This is a curse. So I mean, we're probably going to be... I mean, technically, we could just play this down, attack with one creature, but then it gets rid of one of our ways to win. So I feel like that's not that great here. Untap all creatures to control. But this is 5 mana. Let's just do this here. Let's do it by CMC. I want to try to find some like cheaper ways to do this. I know we've got the Rude Awakening for 4 mana, but really that's not that great. So I like the Mobilize here. Yeah, it's not really great to just have too many 5-drops. They're going to untap a bunch of things. The Rude Awakening makes sense because it untaps lands. That can produce a lot of mana. We don't have to have a Haste Enabler. We're going to be just fine. But Mobilize, Rally the Troops, I think both of these are pretty nice. Vitalize, we've already got open here. Benefactor's Drop, we've got that one open as well. Call to Glory also works here. Next up, we've got Rally of Wings. That also seems pretty good. We've got Roar of the Ka. We've got 2 Arms. Yeah, we've got a lot of things that can untap our lands. And you know what? The more I look at this, the more I feel like maybe we just don't want any of these. Like, maybe the game plan is to just untap all of our lands. Or, sorry, all of our creatures. But then we've got another problem. Because in order to do a lot of stuff on our turns, we are going to want to have... so we want to eventually cast the Etherflux Reservoir or other things as well. We want to make sure that we can actually have Haste Enablers. I can think of 2 that we've got in our colors, but I can't think of any more. So you know what? Let's do this first here. I know I'm kind of taking a side moment every time, but I think in order for us to understand if we can actually untap all of our creatures and use that to be helpful, I think we've got to first understand if it's helpful for us to actually give, or if it's able for us to give haste. So let's go ahead and do this. Green, white. We want to have legal in our colors, and we're just gonna look up haste. We're gonna look for either like each creature or all creatures. Each creature or all, or let's just do creatures. Creatures. I think that's pretty good because we want to be able to use all of our creatures, not just the elves, not just the druids. So this one costs a lot of mana to do that. We're gonna go ahead and search this here by CMC again because again we want to make sure that our things that are going to be doing that are going to be pretty low. Crashing Draw... Okay, so Concordant Crossroads definitely counts. Crashing Drawbridge. We can technically use it to set up. And then... maybe... I'm going to say maybe to the Crashing Drawbridge. But let's just keep going first here. We're going to start off with that Concordant Crossroads. So we'll look up that one first. Crashing Drawbridge is pretty interesting. This one requires us to pay 12 mana to give our creatures haste, so not that great. Lands become creatures. So I actually kind of like Sylvan Awakening. Check this out. We can use this to turn all of our lands into creatures. And then that allows us not only to produce a lot of mana, I like this one a lot. So this one's pretty good. It works with all of our ways to untap creatures here. That seems pretty good. It actually seems better than all of our ways to untap creatures. So I'm feeling okay about where we're at this point. I've got the Concordant Crossroads. Sylvan Awakening. We're going to go and close this tab here. So Sylvan Awakening, I'm going to just add that one directly. So we're going to go ahead and add this one into a new category here for right now. We're going to add in the Sylvan Awakening. Sylvan Awakening. Go back to this tab here. So 1,000 Year Elixir, I think this one definitely counts. It won't allow us to attack with all of our creatures, but it will allow us to tap them. And then we can find something that allows us to attack later, like Concordant Crossroads or something. Sylvan Awakening, it seems pretty nice. What else do we want? We wanted, oh yeah, 1,000 Year Elixir. 1,000 Year Elixir. Okay. Next up, this is only for one creature. This one is only for one creature. One creature. This one's only for those creatures. Kamal's Will. So this is going to be free. All your lands become all your lands become creatures. I like that one. So I think Kamal's Will is going to be just another version of the Sylvan Awakening. So I think that's going to be pretty good. Kamal's Will. Let's go ahead and open that one. And then Audric is not going to be that great. This is not good. This is only for slivers. This is only for one creature, which would technically work with our Crashing Drawbridge, but this is not going to even be free, so I don't even know how great that is. This one is not going to give haste to any of the creatures. Kurma's Memorial will do it, but it is 7 mana. I think that's going to be the cutoff for us here. We've got the last thing that we grabbed here was Kamal's Will, which is technically free. And the next one below that one was 1,000 Year Elixir, which was only 3 mana. So I feel pretty happy about where we're at. We've got a couple of options. And I think we've got enough options that we don't actually have to worry about like what happens if we lose all these options. So we've got 4 cards in the deck that actually works this way. And then I think, do I want to actually include the ways to produce more mana from that? Because now we've got here So we've got here 4. If we're trying to, I think if we get rid of these, we're gonna be able to do our whole untapping creatures game plan a lot more easily. So I think that's what we're gonna do here. We've got these cards here for us to use, but I think we're just gonna keep going through the cards that allow us to untap. So I feel pretty happy about where we're at with that one. Okay, so we stopped at 2 arms, which was right here. It allows us to also draw cards, which is pretty sweet. Only untaps white creatures. Only untaps 1 creature. This is only when it attacks. We've got the village bell ringer, right? Yeah, we've already got that one here. If we can attack with this one, we can exert it, but that's also not that great. And that's pretty much it. We're already now up to the 4 mana slot. And then here's the 5 mana slot with the joined shield. So, yeah, I feel like this is going to be enough for us. We've got a lot of options here. Vitalize. Village Bell Ringer is probably one of my favorites here because we can actually use that to untap all of our creatures, and it's going to be free with Aluren, so that's pretty sweet. Vitalize, Benefactor's Draught. We can go ahead and start off with that one. So Vitalize as the first one here. We'll add all these cards in. I think this looks pretty good because we can use this. We can use these cards really well. Not to mention, we've also got the ability to. I don't know why my touchpad's having some problems here. Let's just go ahead and do this. So we're going to add this one in. Vitalize into a new category. We're going to go ahead and get the Benefactor's Draught. Benefactor's Draw, we'll add that one in as well. Just going to pull that one up here. Yeah, so I like this one. Normally it's going to be used on somebody else's turn, but in this deck it's actually going to be wanted to use on our turn. So 2 arms. I'm pretty sure we've got this one in Magic Online. I could be wrong. I feel like I've seen it. Yeah, there it is. 2 arms. We also got the Village Bell Ringer. And then after that, let me see what else we've got here. So we've got the Village Bell Ringer, we've got the 2 arms, we've got the Vitalize, we've got the Benefactor's Draught, Mobilize, Rally the Troops. They're the next 2 here. So this is going to go into this category. We said, what was it? Rally the Troops was one of them. Rally the Troops. The other one was Call to Glory. So let's get loaded. So we actually don't have this one on Magic Online, but that's fine. That's going to be something that we're going to use anyways, but we're just going to include 2 Call to the Glory here, just so that we can have that being represented. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. Again, that second Call to Glory is technically Rally the Troops. It's this card right here. Oh, hold on, actually. Only after you're attacked. Oh, so we can't even cast this one. Well, never mind. We actually don't want to include that one anyways. I didn't want you anyways. I'm glad that I actually looked at that. Call to Glory. This one is good, though. We've already got the Mobilize, right? I think we've got Mobilize. No, we don't. Mobilize is the one we're going to add in next. Mobilize. Yeah, I like this. This is going to be really sweet, I think. Mobilize. Oh, this is not on Magic Online, huh? Mobilize. Oh, well, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, the same trick that we did last time. We're adding double cards. So, Roar of the Ka and Rally of Wings. Rally of Wings. We'll add in 2 of these to represent the Mobilize that we didn't add in earlier. Just so we can kind of keep track of the creature count here. So Rally of Wings, Mobilize, and then last is going to be Roar of the Ka. So yeah, a lot of white spells that are going to untap all of our creatures, which definitely seems like a reason to be playing white and green for a deck like this. So yeah, we've got the 2 Rally of the Wings. Again, one of them is supposed to be the Mobilize. Roar of the Ka, we'll put that one in here. So Roar of the Ka, add that one in. So we've got 8 cards in that category. I feel pretty happy about that. We've only got, let me see here, 42. We're going to be including 34 more lands. So that is 76. So that allows us to have 3 plus 20, so 23 creatures. It's about maybe a 5th or a 4th of the creatures in our deck being things that we can use. Maybe that's not that great, though. Do we have too many things that allow us to draw cards? I don't think so. I think we're going to drop the Hazard's Monument because I'd like to find, I'd like to actually draw cards, not just draw and discard. Glimpse of Nature. I like all these. I think that having all these cards are going to be good because we can use that in order to get more card draw going. Abundance. Do I like this one? I do kind of like this one because this makes sure we don't draw into lands. So it turns our count from being like, so let's say we've got 25 creatures. That's 1/4 of the deck. So if we take out the lands, then it's not going to be 25 out of 99. It's going to be 25 out of 62, which is roughly half. So Abundance basically doubles up our ability to draw into creatures, almost as good as our Alhammar's Archive. So I feel like that's probably why we're going to include that one here. But I think I do want to include the rest being lands here, or creatures rather. So now we definitely want to have things that are going to draw cards. I think it's still going to be pretty good. But other than that, we actually want to have creatures that are producing mana. So let's see here where the draw is. So we've got that's searching, that's searching, that's searching as well. This is actually drawing cards. This is searching. This is drawing cards from enchantments going away. This one we can pay 2 mana to draw a card off of it. But I don't think that mana is going to be that useful just to pay 2 mana and draw a card. It doesn't seem that great of a rate here when all of our creatures are going to be free. So I don't see that being that helpful here. Let's keep going down here. Put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. Nope. Basic land, or any land actually. This one is, if it's kicked, we get to draw 2 cards. It's not that great. Paying 3 mana to draw 2 cards, basically a divination. I'm not interested in that, to be honest. That's searching for a basic land. This is searching for an elf. I don't think there's any elves that we actually are really interested in getting, specifically. This is drawing a card when we tap it. I do like that one because, well, do we have a lot of 6-drops in this deck? Probably not. Yeah, we probably don't. But it does still produce mana, and eventually it could draw a card every now and then. No, I don't think so. We're just going to go next for the Llanowar Visionary. I do think that one's good. So open that link in a new tab. Mesa Enchantress also I think counts here. We've got this one. What does this one do? Just reveals the top card of our library. This one gets lands. This also counts when we cast an enchantment here. This one allows us to get lands. This is about enchantments. Yeah, so we're actually playing all the Enchantress cards, not because we're playing enchantments, but we're playing an Enchantress-based deck, but we've got just a ton of enchantments just accidentally. We've got Sterling Grove, Aluren, we've got Guardian Project, Recycle, Zendikar Resurgent, we've got Abundance. Next up, we've got the Concordant Crossroads. So I guess that's a couple. Maybe it's not actually that great. You know what? Now that I think about it, I don't think I actually like the Enchantress ability because they're not going to give us that much card draw, and it's not going to be like we can't count on that. It's funny that we got the Llanowar Visionary. Is the other Visionary not a Druid? Or is it... Did I miss something? It should say draw. It should be... I feel like it's a Druid. Let's take a look here. Elvish Visionary. Elvish Visionary. It should be a Druid, though. Oh, it's a Shaman. That's a Shaman, huh? So if we happen to have our Druid effect, it won't actually trigger on that. But it will trigger on everything else. So I do like that one. Elvish Visionary and the Llanowar Visionary. I think both of those are going to be pretty good. So let's just search up Visionary here. Visionary. So I like both of those. We're going to add those into our kind of combo piece section. So here's the Elvish Visionary. And here is the Llanowar Visionary. So we're going to add in those 2 cards. So next I want to look for things that are Druids that also say like add or untap. Because maybe we can untap lands. That could be pretty nice with our creatures. Yeah, so here we can untap forests with the Arbor Elf, with the Boreal Druid, Elvish Mystic, Finehorn Elves. Heritage Druid also works because we can tap down some of our elves that are not actually producing mana for us. And I like also the Jiraga Tree Speaker. We can pretty much level that up pretty easily and then just get that 2 mana right away from it. Llanowar Elves, Bloom Tender I like. This one seems kind of wonky. We can put it on itself, and we can produce the mana, but it's only going to be usable for 3 times. I don't think that's that great. Whereas Devoted Druid I do like. We can actually use that just as many times as we want. We can only, untap it with itself once, but we don't need to do that many times. Do I actually want to include just the 2 drops that produce only 1 mana? Probably not. I probably want to stick to the 1 drops that produce 1 mana or more, and then 2 drops that produce 2 mana or more. Which I guess technically Devoted Druid, I don't think that actually counts. Never mind. But besides that, I mean, not much else. Ooh, Gyre Sage. Do I actually want to include that one? That one could be kind of interesting. If we can evolve it just once, then we're good. We are golden at that point. Heribaz Druid I don't think is going to be that helpful for us. Same thing with the rest of these here so far. We can untap 2 lands off of the Hope Tender. And we're untapping our lands anyways, so I feel like Hope Tender is going to be a good one. Let's go and start adding these cards to the deck. And it's going to be a longer process here, so I'm just going to skip ahead to where I've actually got those cards added in. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, as you can see, I've added in a bunch of these creatures here. Let me just go over them really quickly. So I added in, obviously we already saw here, the Llanowar Visionary and the Elvish Visionary, but I've also added in Arbor Elf, Boreal Druid, Elvish Mystic, Finehorn Elves, Heritage Druid, Jiraga Tree Speaker, Llanowar Elves, Bloom Tender, Gyre Sage, Hope Tender, Leafkin Druid, Priest of Titania, Elvish Arc Druid, Feyburrow Elder, Green Weaver Druid, Finehorn Elder, Llanowar Tribe, Croson Restorer, Marwyn the Nurturer, and Nantuko Elder. So usually what I did here was, if it produced only 1 mana, I would include it if it had just 1 CMC. If it produced 2 or more mana, if it's a 2-drop, a 3-drop, then it's good. But if it doesn't produce 2 or more mana and it's a 2-drop, I didn't really add it in. As you can see, we've got pretty much all the ones we want to add in here. We actually have room for only 1 more non-land. So if you look at it this way, when we've got 36 cards in our deck, that means that there's going to be 63 cards in the non-lands portion. We do have those 2 lands, though, so I guess that's technically, it's not going to be, let me see here, 36, 63 minus 2. So yeah, we've got room for 2 more. Yeah, we got room for 2 more cards here. And I'd like to add in some more druids, but I'm not really sure what we can actually add in terms of druids. Let's just take a look, see what druids we've got. What would be helpful? We've got 58 only, so let's see what we can find here. Destroying enchantments, getting lands, soul shift, putting tree folk on top of our deck. This one has shroud, but that's not that helpful here. We already kind of dropped that one anyways. Exploring, milling ourselves, putting a plus encounter on a creature. Let me see here. Put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. Interesting. Death Touch, proliferating, +1/+1 counters, and energy counters, basic lands. Nothing so far that I think of as being like really good, but who knows? We might find something. This can create some tokens. You know what? I think we might be okay on the druids, to be honest. And what we might actually want to do instead is just find some more win cons. Because we got ways to give haste. And we're producing a lot of mana. But I'd like to have a way to like just win with all that mana. And thankfully I've got a list for that one as well. So let me just keep going through here though. Let's see here. Reveal cards from your library. That's just a land. Okay. Becomes a creature. That one draws 2 cards if you kick it. That one looks at the top 5. Yeah, nothing else here that seems that great, to be honest. Everything else seems like, I mean, kind of okay, but nothing that I'm like really happy to include in a deck like this. We gain life equal to our devotion to green. I guess that's it. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Alright, so we've got no other druids that I'm interested in adding, at least. So what else do we want to add in? I think we're going to add in some ways to win the game. So let's just kind of do a recap so far. We're getting out Aluren. We've got some of these cards that allow us to draw cards as we're casting our creatures, especially druids here. We cast a bunch of druids, draw a bunch of cards, then we find one of our ways to give haste. At this point, we haven't used any other mana besides what we've used for Aluren, and this is most likely going to be a setup card unless we use Glimpse of Nature, which would be that turn. We then find one of our ways to give haste to some of our mana. I guess technically Kamal's Will would be free, Concordant Cross would be 1. The other 2 options here we've got is 3 mana. The other 2 options here. So the idea is we've got 3 mana at least. We go for that. Then we've got to use at least 1 or 2 mana on one of these other things here. So 2 arms is another example. So we've got the Aluren, and we've got 5 mana on top of that. Once we've got that additional 5 mana, we've got the setup turn here. We start, playing a bunch of these creatures for free. Then we give them all haste, tap them for mana, untap them, and that should allow us to use some more mana to maybe cast some more of these things, go for some more creatures. Essentially, we're just trying to generate a bunch of mana, a bunch of card draw. Game plan number 1 is to use either Aetherflux Reservoir or Psychosis Crawler to win the game, because that's not going to go through combat. But if we do have to go through combat, then we're going to have a lot of mana, from all this untapping that we're doing, all this nonsense. So I think after that, the next game plan would be to just win the game with a big attack. So there's a couple of ways to do that here. If I scroll down to the bottom of this list, every one of my lists in the description, you'll actually find the other lists here. We're going to go to the one-hit KOs. So in this section, we're going to find a lot of ways that if you've got the mana, you can then win the game. And we've got a lot of creatures. So we want to find, we've got here small creatures, but that's going to be blue. So that's Biomass Mutation. We don't have a big commander. We don't have big creatures. We do have a draw theme. Let me look at this one, actually. Oh, that's red. Never mind. We're looking for things that are green here. Just green. So we've got Craterhoof Behemoth. That one is going to work here. This one's a Jund card, so that's not going to work. We've also got Overrun, Return of the Wild Speaker. We've got the Earthshaker Giant, Kamal Fist of Krosa. We've got the Titanic Ultimatum, Kamal Heart of Krosa, and then the Vitalizing Wind. So I think compared to everything here, we've also got Tribal here. Tribal Unity. Yeah, that just gives a blanket plus X. So I like the one that gives Trample. That definitely seems like a big deal. So I like the Craterhoof Behemoth a lot. This one gives it for every basic land type that we have. I like this one because this one can give like plus 10 and Trample. I don't think anything else can do that, right? So we might be just more interested in going for like the tutor for that card. But then again, we're kind of finding ourselves in a situation where that's not really that helpful for us anyways. So what else is pretty big? Plus 3 is everywhere else, right? That's plus 5, but we don't have access to that. Vitalizing Wind, it does give plus 7. I guess that is kind of nice. If something happens to our Craterhoof Behemoth that gets exiled or somebody decides to blow it up. I think that does make sense. Ooh, Azuri Renegade Leader. This one actually might be even better. Because we do have a lot of elves. And, depending on how much mana we've got, we can actually, just dump a ton in there. I kind of like that, to be honest. That would be kind of nice. Let me think. Is that really what I want to go for here? I think so. I mean, the Vitalizing Wind is also pretty nice. It just gives plus 7. To do that with a Azuri Renegade Leader, we'd have to have, like, at least 3 plus 15. That's 18 mana to be better than Vitalizing Wind. It does give Trample, but it doesn't give it to all of our creatures. So I kind of like Vitalizing Wind and Craterhoof Behemoth as our two options here. Vitalizing Wind, and then the other option here, Craterhoof Behemoth. I think both of these are going to be pretty good for us because we can actually use those and then actually win the game with those two cards as well. So that's pretty much it for the non-land part. Normally, I'm not a big, not really big into like talking about the mana base in terms of what you really want to include. So that's I'm going to leave up to Jack, whatever Jack wants for the mana base. So what I like to do for taking the place of things, I definitely think that you want to add in the Soul Ring. I think that one's going to be a really good place. We also have, by the way, check this out. We've got the Arbor Elf. So enchanting our forest to produce more mana also seems like a pretty good idea. If we can kind of fit it into the mana base, I'd like to do that. And the way I'm going to be fitting it into the mana base is by using the 1-drops. So 1-drops, if you can use a 1-drop to enchant a land to produce more mana, that's cheap enough that it can kind of count like a land when you've got it in your opener. So let's go and put the Soul Ring here. Put the Soul Ring here with the lands. Oops. Put it with the lands. We also got here, there's Utopia Sprawl, and then the other one is going to be Wild Growth. So both of those cards I think are also going to fit really well into this category. I also would like to include Weathered Wayfarer. It's a creature, but it can also be part of the mana base, so I think that one's going to be the last one that I'd like to include as part of the mana base. I tend to not go over 4 in this category. So Wild Growth, and then the last one is going to be the Weathered Wayfarer. Weathered Wayfarer allows you to draw cards in a lot of decks, so I like it for that reason. But in a deck like this, where you're just trying to cast more cards, it just seems like a great idea. So we're going to add in the Wild Growth here to that category. Weathered Wayfarer, and then the rest of the deck. I mean, I don't think you need a whole bunch of utility lands here. I think this is pretty much good. I would include the Nykthos though. Nykthos definitely seems like a good place to go because if you're untapping your lands, Nykthos is just going to be producing a lot of mana. So I feel like that's the way to go with that one. So we're going to go and add in Nykthos as well. Are there any other lands I would really highly recommend? I think Gaia's Cradle is a good one. If you've got the money for it, I know it's a very, very expensive land. But if you want to build a deck and you've got that money for it, I mean, Gaia's Cradle is great. If you're playing on Magic Online, you don't even have to worry about it because it's not even that expensive on Magic Online. So you play it there. Other than that, though, I think you can just play like a bunch of dual lands, some basic lands, and that's pretty much it. Does this only affect basic lands here? No, it's all lands you control. Same thing with this one, all lands you control. So yeah, I would say like, since we're not playing the early harvest, which would be specifically only basics, I think we could just play like whatever lands we want. We can play a bunch of green and white dual lands. I wouldn't play too many plains in this deck because we've got so many things that need green mana, but I think a few would be nice. But yeah, the rest of that is just whatever you want. I don't think there's any. I'm trying to think if there's any other like utility lands that I'd like to include for a deck like this, and I can't think of any. No, I mean there's not that many that I know of. Let's just add. Let me see here. Add 10 to the deck, and then we're gonna add another 10 more, and then let's add another 10 more, and then we'll remove one here, or actually we're removing 2 here. So remove one, and that's it for the deck. I mean, pretty much just that. Not much else that we actually want to do with a deck list like this, because the lands here, they're not going to really matter too much. But you definitely want to play good lands. That's not my point at all. But I think you want to include the good lands. But what those lands are specifically is not something that I think is, like, I have a very strong opinion about. I think whatever lands you want to include, if they can be dual lands or basic lands, maybe other utility lands if you find them. Oh, actually, no, there is one. There is one, and I think there might be more than one, too. Let me just double check on this. So, the MDFCs, I typically count those as utility lands. And I think if you got some creature-based MDFCs that are cheaper than 3 mana, like, those are definitely worth it. So they have to specifically be lands on the back. So I would include the lands on the back ones, is these 3 here. Not going to be these 3. These are not lands on the back. Sorry, my touchpad is going a little haywire today. But yeah, these 3 right here are not lands. These 3 are. So I'm going to go ahead and add these ones in as well. They're not. None of them are druids, but they're still creatures you can cast for free. So creatures that you can cast for free with the Aluren kind of keeps that combo going. If you don't need them as creatures, you can play them down as lands. And also, this was kind of funny because it also produces mana. So Tangled Florahedron does 3 things for us in this deck, which is kind of neat. But yeah, Skyclave Cleric, Tangled Florahedron, and then Kazandu Mammoth going to be the ones we're going to include here. So I'm going to remove a couple of these wastes here. So that's another one, and then one more. And so we can go and add in the Florahedron. And then the Kazandu, what was it? Kazandu Mammoth and Skyclave Cleric. Alright, why is Florahedron not coming up? Did I set it back to only cards I own? Yes, I did. That's the problem. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add in the Tangled Florahedron, Kazandu Mammoth, Skyclave Cleric. And besides that, I mean, I don't really see if there's anything else that we actually want to include. I think we're actually okay with that. Yeah, so Tangled Florahedron, going to go ahead and add that one into the lands list. And then Skyclave Cleric, We'll go and do that one. Move this down. It's going to bother me if I don't do that. So we'll add in the Skyclave Cleric as well. And then after that, we will go ahead and add in the Kazandu Mammoth. Kazandu Mammoth. And that's pretty much it for this list. So I had a lot of fun building this list. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. Hopefully, Jack, thank you so much for being my patron. Hopefully you enjoyed me building this list. Let me know how it works out for you if you do end up building it, something similar to this. Really excited to see how this all plays out, and I'm excited to see everybody in the next episode of Gavony Township. Stay awesome, everybody.